What it do, YouTube? This your boy Pound for Pound Boxing Real News. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification if you want to be notified. Follow me on Instagram at P for P Boxing Real News. Um, crazy. You know, another week of boxing. We got Lomachenko versus Richard Comey. Should be a great fight, man. Should be a great fight. You know, lightweight division is lit right now, so that's what's going on. But in other news of what's going on this week, we also the press conference of Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall. You know what I'm saying? That happened, I believe, today or yesterday or today in the morning, whatever. Um, but that happened. You know, Josh Taylor's going to defend his undisputed against Jack Catterall in that 140 division. But in other news, Deontay Wilder hinted at retirement on Kevin Hart's show that he has. Um, kind of hinted at it. You know what I'm saying? Nothing concrete, nothing stable there. It's just things that he said that made you think twice about it, right? I went back and I checked it out and saw what was going on. Checked out the interview and stuff, you know, and he's just talking about that he's accomplished everything and stuff like that and all that. This is an article from Independent. Says Deontay Wilder has hinted that he could retire from boxing following his most recent defeat by Tyson Fury. The American was knocked out by Fury in the 11th round of their trilogy bout this October, having also been stopped by the Briton in February 2020. Those clashes followed a controversial split draw in their first meeting in 2018. Prior to his losses to unbeaten Fury, Wilder was also undefeated. What's good, bro? What's good, Johnny Blaze? Said Wilder was also undefeated. And while the 36-year-old recently suggested he has more to achieve in the sport, he is seemingly unsure of whether that is actually the case. Speaking to American comedian Kevin Hart on the Laugh Out Loud network, Wilder said, "It's mixed feelings because ultimately I have accomplished all my goals in the sport." He says, "I told my daughter when she was one that I'd be a champion and I'd be able to support her beyond her belief." He also said, "I've done that. There's a lot of things that I've accomplished that I feel I don't have to prove to anyone because I've already proven to myself, basically." He says, "Should I push forward? Should I give it a go one more time?" He says, "Or should I just retire and focus on the other things that I already have, other things that I want to get into?" He stated that he has a license in scuba diving, him and his wife, and then that's what they like to do and stuff like that. He also has a cologne line, a unisex cologne line coming out, and stuff like that. So he's definitely invested into other things, getting into different things and doing things that he wants to do and likes, right? And my opinion on him retiring, um, you know, he's 36 years old, you know what I'm saying? But he's a great fighter, and he still could fight anybody, you know what I'm saying? But if that's not what he wants, if boxing is just not something that he really wants to do anymore, and it's not something that he should really should really do anymore. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, if he has other things that he wants to do and he can accomplish, like he said, right? Um, Boxing is not, you know, the world. The man made money. You know what I'm saying? He's investing into things. If boxing is just something he doesn't want to do at 36 years old, then that's not something that anybody should be frowned upon, right? Um, you know, you want a fighter to retire basically at a young age and enjoy their money, you know what I'm saying, enjoy their life, you know, and he's given a lot to the sport. So I feel like if he does retire, then that's good. You know what I'm saying? But if he doesn't, then hey, you know, there's other fighters too that are willing to fight. You know, and you we still want to see great fights with Wilder because he still is a good fighter. Um, you know, it's just Fury has his card. That's all that is, right? But I think he still could beat probably anybody else in that division. You know, he could probably beat anybody else in that division. You feel me? But you know, he probably won't retire. He's probably like one foot in the door, one foot out the door type of situation. You know what I'm saying? He's contemplating. He's just like, I just want to live my life right now, enjoy it with my family, my kids, and that's cool. And that's cool, man. That's cool. So, but you know, and then there's other things that is going on too. That Gervonta Tank Davis vacates his WBA regular 140-pound title and keeps his 135-pound strap. This was Boxing News 24. It says Gervonta Davis has vacated his WBA regular 140-pound title and will keep his WBA 135-pound strap. Um, According to the WBA, he says with Tank holding on to his WBA regular lightweight crown, is expected that the sanctioning body will soon order a fight between Gervonta and their Super World champion George Kambosas Jr. Um, this will be further move. This will be a further move by the WBA to reduce the number of titles they have at 135 from 2 to 1. You know, so the WBA, man, you know, they had a very like saturated with belts. They had a whole bunch of interim and stuff like that belts, but now they have 0 interim belts. I think they have like 17 or 20 something belts now in 17 divisions. They have like 17 top belts, and then like uh I can't remember the number of regular belts that they have, but they've minimized their belts to like, you know what I'm saying, to they minimized their belts a lot. And that probably came from a lot of criticism from fans and criticism probably from the fighters and criticism from probably the other sanctioning bodies or something. You know what I'm saying? So it was a whole bunch of probably like criticism happening, and they're just probably like, you know what, to save face, let's just take away all of these interim titles that we have and stuff like that, and let's just show them that we trying. You know what I'm saying? How much are they trying? I don't know. They probably going to up the sanctioning fees to the guys that have the super and regular belts, whatever. But hey, you know what I'm saying? Um, so if they mandate this George Kambosas Tank fight, I wonder, will they take that fight? You know what I'm saying? And if he doesn't, this was something I was thinking about too. If he doesn't, um, he's gonna have to step aside for somebody. You know what I'm saying? So like if Devin Haney wants to fight George Kambosas, well, Tank will have to step aside for Devin Haney. You know, so he might take some step aside money. You know, so we'll see if the WBA mandates Gervonta Tank Davis and George Kambosas. But I feel like, man, for Gervonta Tank Davis, this is a great opportunity to quiet all the legacy talk, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That he's just getting all baby belts and stuff like that. This is a very beatable fight for him. This is a fight that could be a dog fight that you don't know what Kambosas' hunger could be that night. But this is a great fight for Tank, especially at 27 years old. You got to start thinking about that. You know what I'm saying? You got to start thinking about that. At 27 years old, you know, it's something to make a statement with, you know. And so he should. If that's the case, if the WBA mandates Tank to fight George Kambosas, and if he doesn't take it, then y'all know what y'all know what everything, like what's going on. You know what I'm saying? They moving him how they want to move him, and don't even talk about Tank because they not gonna fight nobody. You know what I'm saying? If they feel like it's not a winnable fight, they're not gonna fight nobody. But I feel like this is a very winnable fight for Gervonta Tank Davis. This is a very winnable fight. Kambos is a good fighter, but this is a better fight for Gervonta Tank Davis. Something that he could create that legacy that, you know, many people feel like he's not creating under Floyd Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? So this will be a great opportunity for Gervonta Tank Davis to capitalize on that moment if the WBA mandates George Kambosas versus Gervonta Tank Davis. You know, but it says this is the it says this will be a further move by the WBA to reduce the number of titles they have at 135 to 2-1. Okay, so they want to minimize at 135. They want to minimize that title and just have one undisputed whatever, but also have the super. Forget about the regular, right? They might take away the regular from the 135 division and just keep the super. Okay, so we'll see. He says, you must applaud the WBA for finally taking this step. He says, now, if only the WBC would follow their lead by dumping their franchise silver, gold, and platinum belts. Okay, so that's their opinion, right? Their opinion is that only if the WBC would follow their lead by dumping their franchise silver, gold, and platinum belts, right? You know, it's nice to say that. It's good to say, you know, hey, we don't want belts, this and that. You know what I'm saying? The belts, this and that. You know, it's nice to say that, right? But here's the kicker to that. If there is no silver, gold, platinum belts, then you're not gonna ever get these guys to fight anybody that's coming up. You see what I'm saying? Mauricio Suleiman put it like this, man. One time I can't remember what interview he did. He did an interview, and he said Manny Pacquiao, he's an A division world champion. But before Manny Pacquiao was an A division world champion, he started in the Philippines. Okay, and Manny Pacquiao gradually got belts in the Philippines, got WBC belts in the Philippines, and then started making his way, you know what I'm saying, through the region, right? Gaining belts, okay? And that's how his name started ringing and shit like that. I could get into it more, but this is the reason why belts do matter at the end of the day. And it's not just because, oh, they collecting sanctioning fees. Yeah, they might be collecting sanctioning fees, but they're also promoting these fighters. You see what I'm saying? And ranking these fighters. So it's, yes, there's belts that really shouldn't be there, but there's belts that really do have a meaning, right? And then I hear a lot of people, they say, oh, the Mayan belt, the Aztec belt, and these types of belts, those aren't real belts. Like, people think that the WBC collects money off of the Mayan belt. Those are trophy belts. That's like a Super Bowl belt. I mean, a Super Bowl trophy. You know what I'm saying? You're not paying no fees for that. That's just given to the fighter at the end of the fight, whoever wins that fight, right? It's like people make controversies and things of that nature for no reason. You know, they want to hate on an organization. They want to talk shit about an organization without really knowing anything about that organization or what they're doing. People are just so anti-organization, anti things like that, that they don't really listen to what that organization is doing. Okay. Because they don't like how they're doing anything. You know what I'm saying? That they think that they could do better. You know, if that's the case, then start your own fucking sanctioning body. You know what I'm saying? If that's the case. But at the end of the day, those little titles, those little belts, the silver, the gold, the platinum, whatever, those are giving exposure and promoting fighters from other countries, from other places, from lower ranks and stuff like that. Because if they that good, they collecting those belts and they're gradually moving up to the top tier of boxing. You know what I'm saying? To the elite levels of boxing. Okay, so it's not just that they have too many belts. I can understand if you have too many belts in one division. You know what I'm saying? But that's not the case. The WBC only has it has the franchise, which is the super champion, the regular belt, and the interim belt, right? So I don't know, man. I don't know. Is it too many belts? I mean, I guess. But one thing that they should clarify is that they're not world champions, right? The ones that don't have the super belt, they're not the world champion. They're just, those are belts to start getting them into the top tier competition and to see where they're at. So we can't sit around and just be like, oh yeah, well, there's too many belts, this and that, this and that. But I mean, look, man, those belts are there for a reason, and they have things. People only resort back to just saying, "Oh, it's because they're collecting sanctioning fees." Well, not just that; they're also giving exposure to the fighter. The fighters are being ranked. You know what I'm saying? So it's helpful for the fighter, for the normal fan. Yes, you can't a lot of people can't distinguish the belts and stuff like that, don't understand the meanings of belts and stuff like that. I mean, you have idiots out here really saying that they're collecting sanctioning fees from the Mayan belts, the Aztec belts, and shit like that. Like, dude, you have to be stupid to even think that way. You know, those are trophies. That's not something that you become a world champion to. Oh yeah, I'm the champion of that Mayan belt. Like, you know what I'm saying? No, that's just the trophy that they give. The WBC gives them that trophy. It's like a fucking Super Bowl ring. Like, dude, you're not paying for that shit. Is given to you as a reward. You know what I'm saying? If you win that fight, you get a belt. You know what I mean? So people dumb. You know what I mean? And then they say, like, if Caleb Plant would have beat Canelo, does he get the Mayan belt? Duh, he gets the Mayan belt. He doesn't have to be a fucking Mayan, or he doesn't have to be anything like that of that nature. You know what I'm saying? It's just a commemorative belt, a nice belt, a very nicely handmade belt, and it's as a trophy so you can hang up on your fucking mantle or whatever. But it's not us. They're gonna sanction you. Oh, you have to give us 50,000 every time you fight for your Aztec belt that's sitting on your mantle. Like, nah, it's not. That's not how that works, right? But people really think that way. You know, people really have they're half of meatballs. You know what I'm saying? So, and then it goes on and it says, boxing fans would much rather prefer to see Tank facing Kambosas than watching the Australian face WBC lightweight champion Devin Haney. That's another opinion of this boxing scene 24/7, I believe. Whatever this article. Let me see. Boxing News 24. Okay. That's their opinion. He says boxing fans would much prefer to see Tank facing Kambosas than watching the Australian face WBC lightweight champion Devin Haney. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who they're talking to, but from what I've been hearing, a lot of people want to see Devin Haney in there with George Kambosas. You know what I'm saying? Which is a good fight, and I feel like Devin Haney deserves that opportunity, right? He's fought fights that people think that he's worthy already. He's ready for the top. You know what I'm saying? George Kambosas, yeah, he beat Teofimo Lopez, but you know, that's a good fight for Devin Haney. And I think that Devin Haney should be the next one to get that fight against George Kambosas. You know, Tank, that's a good fight too, but it's not something that everybody's raving about. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, even though if it does happen, people are gonna rave, right? So it is what it is, but I feel like Devin Haney deserves that opportunity more than Gervonta Tank Davis. Okay, so then it says that would be a dull affair in comparison because Haney is 27-0, 15 knockouts, can't punch. Oh, this is definitely a buy. This article biased as hell, man. This article, yo, it says that would be a dull affair in comparison because Haney, 27-0, 15 knockouts, can't punch. and will likely spend the entire fight jabbing, moving, and clinching, as we saw in his win over Joseph Diaz Jr. last Saturday night in Las Vegas. So, what's going on, Brown Gone One? So, they said, he said that would be a dollar fair comparison because Haney, 27-0, 15 knockouts, can't punch and will likely spend the entire fight jabbing, moving, and clinching. Um, when he says, he's going to be jabbing, moving, and clinching, I agree with him 100% because that's exactly what Devin Haney's going to go in there and do. He's not going to want to trade with that guy. You know what I'm saying? Even though Devin Haney does stand in the pocket sometimes, but he's more defensively sound than that, to get caught with something huge. He says, work is busy as fuck right now. I'm going to be listening and commenting less in the chat. I appreciate it, bro. Appreciate you coming through, though. Definitely. Says, yo, so this article funny as hell. This article is hilarious. It says can't punch. And I think that Devin Haney he might not be the biggest hitter or whatever, but he'll keep you away. You know what I'm saying? He's strong enough to keep you away at least, okay? And I definitely do see where he says the jabbing, moving, and the clinching. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. But does that mean that he does that fans don't want to see Devin Haney fight George Kambosas? No, that does not mean that. Fans do want to see Haney fight George Kambosas. And then it says Tank is too tiny for 140-pound division. It says the action by the Tank Davis, 26-0, 24 knockouts, comes to no surprise to fans and this writer, because the only reason he moved up to 140 was he saw an opportunity to capture his third division world title last June against a vulnerable champion in WBA secondary light welterweight belt holder Mario Barrios. He says there was virtually no chance that Tank would stick around at 140 and tangle with the undisputed light welterweight champion Josh Taylor and risk losing. Heck, even against the badly flawed WBA regular 140-pound champion Barrios, things were tough for the 27-year-old Gervonta. I mean, Tank needed his promoter, Floyd Mayweather, to climb up to his corner after the 7th round to give him a motivational speech. Without that pep talk from Floyd, Tank might have lost the fight to Barrios because things were looking mighty bleak for him after 7 rounds. Had Tank stayed at 140 and showed some courage by taking on Josh Taylor, it might not have ended well for him. Yo, so this article right here is pretty crazy, man. There's virtually no chance. There was virtually no chance that Tank would stick around at 140 and tangle with the undisputed light welterweight champion Josh Taylor and risking losing. Heck, even against the badly flawed WBA regular 140-pound champion Barrios, things were tough for the 27-year-old Gervonta. He says, Tank needed his promoter, Floyd Mayweather, to climb up to his corner after the 7th round to give him a motivational speech. And that's something that we saw when he fought Mario Barrios. That he did need that motivational speech. After that motivational speech that Floyd Mayweather gave him, dude turned up on Mario Barrios for sure. And he was losing that fight up until that point. Mario Barrios was landing and he was outworking him. He was being very slick, and Tank really wasn't doing too much, okay? It says the WBA, this was a tweet from the WBA, and it says Gervonta Davis informed the WBA that he will only keep his lightweight belt. Gervonta had 5 days after his fight last Sunday to choose a division, and he decided to stay at 135. They tweeted that out December 7th of 2021 at 8:40 p.m. Okay, so Tank has decided to campaign at 135, and that's where he's gonna stay. Man, but he might fight George Kambosas Jr. Oh shit, he might fight George Kambosas Jr. next. To be honest with you, he might fight George Kambosas Jr. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people saying, he might not, but I think that he's gonna be mandated and he's gonna take that fight. The reason for it being is because it's a good fight for him. It's a really good fight for him. If he loses, he loses. But this is gonna be, if he wins that fight, I mean, it just all landed right on his lap. You know what I'm saying? When people were saying, he wasn't creating a legacy, this and that, saying this, that, and the third, it landed right on his lap, and he was lucky enough to take that. Now, will Gervonta Tank Davis fight Devin Haney if he wins that fight? That's the big question. So we'll have to see. We'll definitely have to see. And there goes Tank with Isaac Cruz after the fight. But Ellaby talks about Gervonta being injured. He says, I thought he looked really good. I thought he boxed good, said Mayweather Promotion CEO Leonard Ellaby to Fight Hub TV on Tank Davis win over Isaac Cruz last Sunday night. Gervonta's hand was hurting coming into the fight. I don't want to get into that, said Ellaby. When asked how Davis injured his hand before the fight, he said, I told everybody. What did I say about Isaac? People overlook all these fighters because they don't have big names. Oh, why don't you? This guy, Isaac Cruz, is better than a lot of these guys that you're talking about, said Ellaby. And what sounded like him trying to justify choosing Cruz as Tank's opponent rather than matching him against one of the four kings, which that's not reality, right? Four kings. Damn, they just plug and play, don't they? They just plug and play. Because look at the four kings that Boxing News 24 is saying. The four kings that they're referring to is Vasily Lomachenko, Devin Haney, or Ryan Garcia. So they plug and play. They took out Tio and they plugged in Lomachenko. Because y'all know Tio was one of the four kings, but honestly, man, that was never a thing. You know what I'm saying? That was a thing that they wanted to make a thing, but that's not reality. Reality and that the other thing is four kings, all of them lost. You know what I'm saying? All of them lost. And for them to just plug and play Tio like that, they just played him. You know what I'm saying? They played them. They've definitely played the man. But it says Ellaby is one funny guy, man. He's one funny guy. He says Gervonta's hand was hurt coming into the fight. He said, I don't want to get into that, said Ellaby when asked how Davis injured his hand before the fight. He said, I told everybody. What did I say about Isaac? People overlook all these fighters because they don't have big names. Oh, why don't you? This guy, Isaac Cruz, is better than a lot of those guys you're talking about, said Ellaby, and what sounded like him trying to justify choosing Cruz as Tank's opponent rather than matching him against one of the air quotes four kings like Vasily Lomachenko, Devin Haney, or Ryan Garcia. He also says this guy, Isaac Cruz, is better than, but I knew that. I knew that though. He says that's the reason why he was ranked in the top 10 by every organization. That's the reason why. I mean, he wasn't a top 10 lightweight, but he might have been ranked in the top 10 of the organizations. But we're not going to sit here and play dumb or play stupid. Like, we know what you were trying to do. You were trying to cherry pick this guy. He just came out and showed a little bit more, right? So if he would have, if Isaac Cruz would have came and got knocked out, then it would have gone to shit for Ellaby, right? They would have been saying, well, you're going to step up in competition, this and that. But it turns out that Isaac Cruz came with a nice little game plan on short notice, and he performed well. Performed well enough for people to actually think or say that he won that fight, right? Or scratch or had a draw. You know what I'm saying? What I had, a draw or Isaac Cruz winning 7-5. So pretty crazy, but he says, of course he did. Ellaby said when asked if Tank expected this fight of type of grueling fight from Isaac Cruz, um, he says he's tough. He's tough as nails. I knew that every day. What did I say? This guy is tough. That's what Ellaby kept telling everybody. This guy was tough. he um, he's referring to Isaac Cruz is tough. He takes a good shot, but Tank was a one-handed fighter tonight. Excuses, right? Excuses for a bad performance. Um, Look, this guy right here, he made all the excuses. He says he's a tough fighter. He takes a good shot, but Tank was a one-handed fighter tonight, though. But what Tank showed y'all was his boxing skills. That's what he showed y'all was his boxing skills, and that's what it's about. Okay, so he's trying to justify his bad performance by saying that Tank was a one-handed fighter and this and that. And yeah, he might have hurt his hand and stuff, you know what I'm saying, by missing a lot and shit, not hitting Cruz flush, you know what I'm saying, and hitting his motherfucking his gloves and stuff like that or whatever. But they're saying this was before, right? But that's not, you can't make that excuse, you know what I'm saying? That's an excuse for a bad performance, and it is what it is. But Leonard dodges Kambosas question. So this is when they get into the Kambosas questions, and supposedly Leonard dodged these questions. He says, we're just finished fighting. This is what Leonard and Ellaby says. We're just finished fighting. When asked if he's going to try and negotiate a match between Gervonta and the new undisputed lightweight champion, George Kambosas Jr., he says, listen, we're going to fight the best fights out there. You see this, right? Tank is the only one that brings about like that, said Ellaby on the large crowd that Gervonta versus Cruz attracted last Sunday night at the Staples Center. Says, not y'all, but a lot of people say they don't even know him. But Cruz showed you all tonight why he's a tough competitor. I told everybody that Tank would be forced to use his boxing skills, and this is what it's about. Showing you're a complete fighter, and Tank is getting better and better with each and every time out. Two different types of fighters, Ellaby said when asked if the fight would have played out similarly if Rolly Romero had fought Tank Davis last Sunday instead of Isaac Cruz. Okay. Two different types of fighters. So he's saying Isaac Cruz and Rolly Romero are two different types of fighters, and a lot of people feel like they're the same type of fighter. Just Rolly's a more physical, bigger guy. We don't know if he has the same chin as Isaac Cruz, but a little bit equivalent to Isaac Cruz, right? So, but it could have been a different story with Rolando Romero. We would never know because of the allegations, so we'll never know. But it could have been a different fight. Could have been a different type of night for Tank. Could have been a different type of a big knockout or an upset, because Broly, he hits everything with bad intentions, so you just never know. Those are the type of guys that are very awkward, that'll make it very physical, frustrate you to the point where you just can't, and you saw that in Tank against Isaac Cruz when he was getting frustrated. Isaac Cruz kept frustrating Gervonta Davis. The ref had to talk to Gervonta a couple of times because he was He was getting frustrated in there. The body, obviously, you could see it was hurting. He was dropping that arm low. He's trying to tuck it into his body because Cruz would finish or go down to his body, and he was breaking him down to that body, right? Maybe his hand was swollen, but maybe he was hurt to the body as well because his hand was tight to his body as well. So, Cruz, he put on a good performance, man. A performance to win that fight, yes, for sure. I'll give Cruz the win, but when you're fighting a side fighter, when you're fighting Gervonta Davis, it's gonna be very, very tough for you to get a win. Especially it doesn't matter if they feel like you won the fight, but at the end of the day, Tank is their pride possession. He is the one a guy that the face of Mayweather promotions. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be very tough for you to take that away from him, and that's why I said into that 12th round, I was like, Isaac Cruz is winning right now, but he needs a knockdown or something to really solidify his victory. Because if it's a close fight, they're gonna give it to Tank no matter what. We know how boxing is. We know what goes on. You know what I'm saying? You're just not gonna get that victory, champ. You gotta really show up and show out. You know what I'm saying? Um, here's Leonard Ellerby still saying, he says he takes a good shot too. These guys are tough, and that's why I'm tired of these fans disrespecting these fighters. Oh, this guy is a bum. How is he a bum? How? So he's just saying that Rolly, he takes good shots too, and he's a tough fighter, or these guys are tough. Isaac Cruz, Rolly, all boxers are tough, and he's saying that that's why he's tired of these fans disrespecting these fighters and saying that, calling these fighters bums and stuff like that, right? Um, just like they said about your son, he's going to knock him out. He's not going to knock no Kambosas out in the first round. I'm talking about Teofimo Lopez, said Ellaby in speaking to George Kambosas Sr., who walked up to him after the interview. He said, just like they said about your son, he's going to knock him out. He's not going to knock no Kambosas out in the first round. I'm talking about Teofimo Lopez, said Ellaby in speaking to George Kambosas Sr., who walked up to him during the interview. He says, I knew all of that. I knew that. And that's why I'm saying if you don't have a high profile name, then they don't get behind you. In boxing is bigger than that. And that's what I'm saying. And that's why I'm saying that. He says, they're gunning for you. This is their Super Bowl. And if you have an off night, you could lose. Ellaby said on why Tank struggled with Isaac Cruz. Okay, so that's the reason. Ellaby is making excuses for a poor performance from Gervonta Davis. He said that his hand was hurt, and that's why he was only fighting him with one hand, this and that, whatever. Okay, so that's the excuse that they going with, right? Which might be true, but you won the fight. It was a close fight. You don't have to make an excuse for his victory. You know what I'm saying? It's a tough fight. Just give credit to the other man, because you kind of discrediting the other man by saying that he only fought him with one hand. You know what I mean? Give credit to the other man. He was tougher than you thought. He was a good fighter. It was your off night, whatever, and keep it moving. You're lucky to leave out of there with your record being undefeated still. So it is what it is. I mean, Tank wasn't the one saying that kind of stuff. I don't believe. From what I saw, it was all love between him and Isaac Cruz, as y'all can see in the picture. It was all love. And, even in the dressing room, and Isaac Cruz saying, "Man, thank you for this opportunity." You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I'm like, man, why do these fighters take these fights knowing damn well they about to get knocked the fuck out? You know what I'm saying? Because these guys come in for just to get knocked out. You know what I mean? But not understanding as well, or not being ignorant myself, not, they have a family to feed, they have things that they have to get done, Shit, they might have that, they might have this, they might have that, you know. And to get a paycheck or something like that, it's a big deal. It's a huge deal, you know. Sometimes I just be like, well, you know, why do these guys just take that fight? Why do they take those fights knowing damn well that they're just there to get knocked out? But you know, at the end of the day, these guys have families to feed, so I can't get mad at that. That's just something that pisses me off sometimes. But they're feeling like, man, you know, they just get anybody to knock them out. But shit, you got motherfuckers that say shit for $1 million, for $1 million, for 2 mil, you know. And these guys, man, you know, a lot of these guys, they have to go into their jobs. You know, that was the big thing. That's why a lot of guys say, you fight cab drivers, you fight McDonald's workers, you fight Uber drivers and shit like that. People say that kind of stuff. You know why? Do you know why? Where that came from? That came from guys guys that really had to go to work, you know what I'm saying, hard labor, or do out in the field type shit. You know what I'm saying? Guys that were fighting on the weekends, working during the weekdays, you know? Uh Plenty of stories like that. Plenty of stories like that where the guys, you know, they were working as as a driver somewhere in the construction field, somewhere like that. And that's why people they gravitate to saying, oh, you find a bunch of cab drivers and things like that. You know what I mean? Guys that get off of their shift at 12 o'clock or something, you know, or guys that, you know, things of that nature, right? And that's where that comes from, is because these guys, you know, journeymen and stuff like that, they still have to go to work. You feel me? Like I got a lot of these, you know, up and coming guys that are journeymen, guys like that on Instagram, and they show their work life. You know, they're out in the construction field. They doing whatever they doing. You know what I'm saying? Shoveling, picking up debris, whatever the fuck they doing. And that's just to get by. You know what I'm saying? And waiting for an opportunity like that or something like that to get a fight and actually cash out on a nice little paycheck for the year, you know. A lot of these guys, they barely make 100,000. You know what I'm saying? 100,000 from boxing, right? Um, so it's crazy. You know, the top guys, they eating. You know, those are the superstars of boxing, but we don't see those guys that are out in the. They got a man. These dudes, bro. These dudes, you know, they out there working 8 hour shifts, 10 hour shifts, 12 hour shifts. Okay, and then they go to the boxing gym afterwards to work on some stuff, and then, you know, praying for a call, for a short notice call, whatever. They don't care. You know what I'm saying? To get a fight with whoever, you know, and sometimes that's just how it is, man. And then sometimes some people, you know, there's diamonds in the rough. You know what I'm saying? You might find that diamond in the rough. You remember that guy that fought that one guy in that undercard? I can't remember their names. Um, Chilean guy that you know, he lives in Chile. He lives in Chile. His community is on the island of Chile, and this guy, he was paying. He wanted to fight so badly that he was basically sanctioning his own fights in Chile to fight people, and he was charging at the door. You know what I'm saying? And then he gets the opportunity and comes to the U.S. and he gets a fight on the zone's undercard. Okay, and he gets a fight, and this dude, like, I think it was like the most elite guy at 122 or something. I can't remember his name. Can't remember his name at all. Montiel sells paletas on the side. He also sells elote. I'm telling you, bruh. Elote es loco. He sells elote loco. Yo, I'm telling you, bro. But the Chilean cat, he fought like the top guy at 122 or 118 or whatever, and he gets that opportunity. And you know, this guy, man, he shows tremendous heart. He's not the most skilled guy. He's not the best guy, but he doesn't get knocked out. He didn't get frustrated. He was in there. He was in that fight. You know what I'm saying? Even though he might have lost, like maybe most of all of the rounds, but that's the type of shit that promoters watch. You know what I'm saying? Because those are entertaining fighters that could gain a fan base because of the way that they are. Right? The guy did fucking breakdancing moves after the fight. You feel me? He was breakdancing after the fight, and just so happy. Just so happy. You know what I'm saying? He didn't care if he lost. He didn't, I mean, he didn't really care if he lost. He put on a great performance, and he was very entertaining, and people love that kind of stuff, right? Because why do you watch sports? Why do you watch anything? Why do you do anything that you do? Is because you want entertainment. That's it, right? So a guy like that, a lot of people will favor him, not to beat anybody, but favor to follow and um to favor because of his entertainment value. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he might not become the top guy, but he might get like 3, 4 more fights, and they might be for maybe this time 200,000, 300,000, which has set that person up nicely to buy a house, to buy a car, to provide for his community, whatever, because that's just how it is. So, and boxing, man, is a tough sport to get into if you really, what I'm saying. It's a poor man's sport, honestly. Poor man's sport. You don't see rich people, what I'm saying, getting into this sport and stuff like that. You don't. You just don't. Right? Shit, in Mexico, bruh, there's only 3 sports for real that are huge, right? In Mexico, that are huge sports, and that's soccer. Well, it's soccer, boxing, baseball, right? So, from what I think, I don't know. I'm not Mexican, so, but still, I think that those are the 3 main sports in Mexico. Even though I'm not Mexican, I think that those are the 3 main sports: soccer for sure, boxing, and basketball. I mean, baseball, whatever. And basketball too, man. I seen so many Mexican basketball players too. So that these kids that grow up in the streets, you know what I'm saying, grow up in the streets, or from the streets out there, that's all they grow up doing. Is if they can't play soccer, if they're not athletic enough to play soccer and stuff like that, then guess what? They take themselves to the boxing gym, and guess what? They do what they do, man. He says Rosado is the best journeyman in boxing. For sure, bruh, for sure. But Rosado, the one thing about Rosado, he's a paid journeyman. So he doesn't have the same story as like he has to wake up and go to work and stuff like that. But he does have to manage and budget his money for sure. Guys like Wilder, Tank, Canelo, those guys don't got to budget shit. You know what I'm saying? Them dudes living life. You feel me? Those guys are living life. The top in boxing eats for sure. The bottom of boxing, it's sad. And then they want to take away belts, which I think is a horrible idea, man. Like, I get it, but those are the belts that give exposure to fighters. Those are the belts that promote fighters, and then those are the belts that rank those fighters. So I think it's a bad idea to take away a lot of most of those belts. The silver, gold, platinum, interim. Can't Why take them away? To me, it don't make sense, because a guy, a poor man in Nicaragua, he's not ever gonna get an opportunity to get up to the U.S. if there's none of those belts. See what I'm saying? Because there is no motive to fight those guys, especially how the U.S. fan base is, where everybody's a bum. So if we don't know their name, then you automatically think that that guy is not a great fighter, right? You automatically think that. Okay, so we as fans, we're not really gonna give a fuck. We're gonna still be saying shit like that, but that's why those belts should be there. Okay. And a lot of people just don't like those belts, but they don't understand, because in America, we're privileged. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's privileged. I don't care who you are. You're privileged. Once you touch the US soil, you don't understand a lot of things that go on in third world countries. You don't understand a lot of things that go on around the world. And you don't give a fuck because you're snotty. You know what I'm saying? Everything has been fed to you. You know what I mean? So it's a very easy lifestyle that you live in America. it's totally different everywhere else in the world. Just be great. You gotta be grateful that you from here. You know what I'm saying? Be grateful. You know, that's why I look at those countries. I look at those people, man, and I say, and I, you know what I think? I think that those people are, you know, I respect those people a lot. I admire those people a lot. You know what I'm saying? The people that live down there, that work down there, that are everyday people in third world countries and stuff like that. Not saying that every country is a third world country, but you know, you gotta you gotta admire that kind of shit, because those people down there that are out there doing that hard labor, doing that work, you know what I'm saying? That's something to admire. You know what I mean? Um, but out here, it's something that is kind of frowned upon by people. You know what I'm saying? It's frowned upon. And those people that have to cross the border and stuff like that, man, you gotta admire those people, you know, because they want that better opportunity for themselves and their family, and they're not selfish to come out here and 10 motherfuckers living in an apartment, and you know, you just got one fucking sheet that you went and got at the thrift store, whatever, you know what I'm saying? You sending money back to your home to feed your family, you know? So that's the crazy shit. That's the things that people don't know about, you know what I mean? And that's why, you know, the lifestyle, or the understanding of Latinos and stuff like that, it divides a lot of people, because a lot of stuff, you know, it's very complicated, because when you see all of that, and then you see how how Americans are, it's very difficult for you to really comprehend. You know what I mean? Um, Working hard and being humble. You know what I'm saying? That's a big thing in life. Working hard and being humble. Be responsible. Uh, you know, those are just morals you gotta have for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Be responsible. You know, accountability. You see what I'm saying? Just traits that are admirable, um, that people will respect you for at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like they say, man, you gotta give respect to get respect, and that's just how it is in life, you know. But it's a lot of motherfuckers out here that just disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Disrespectful, don't care about nothing, because they don't care, because they life is so, it's so weird. You know what I mean? It's just like their life is just privileged. You know what I'm saying? Americans, it is what it is. You can take it how you want to take it, but Americans are privileged. Don't matter who you are. In America, you're very privileged. You know, shit. You got countries like Jamaica. If you're gay, they kill you. You know what I'm saying? They kill you. You feel me? They don't play that shit out there. They don't play that. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody, you know, and they don't have all them rights that they do out here and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be grateful, bro. Grateful from where you come from. You know what I'm saying? The worst place, the worst hood, the worst whatever out here is the best place somewhere else. You know, it's the best place in any third world country. You see what I'm saying? So that means a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because they worst is 30 million times worse than what you're going through out here. Right? Your problems ain't problems that people have out there, and their problems not your problems, right? In America, the problem is that all we think about is money. We're slaves to money. You know what I'm saying? That's all we really think about. In those countries, money, but they have their happiness, right? They have happiness. Most of those people, they don't have a lot of those problems that Americans have, because Americans, all we think about is greed. American greed is literally American greed, right? Even though, yes, there is corruption and all of that in other countries and third world countries and stuff like that, but still the people still live happier than they would in this society where it's just work. Who the fuck made it 5 days a week, 8 hours a day? Who the hell made that shit up? You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Them people was thinking. and plotting on how we gonna run this society, and we just gonna keep collecting money on these motherfuckers. We gonna make them be the backbone of this country, but we gonna still treat them like shit. It's crazy, man. But Jim Calfa didn't like the way Ella B dodged the question of whether Tank Davis will fight Kambosas next. The Australian isn't a PBC fighter, and Tank's promoter Floyd Mayweather Jr. recently made it clear that he's only going to match him against guys with PBC. If Ellaby and Mayweather choose not to let Tank fight Kambosas because they want to keep Gervonta fighting in-house opposition, it'll be another missed opportunity for the Baltimore native. And that's 100% a fact, man. You know what I'm saying? That'll be another missed opportunity, because I said that before I even read that article. I said that, man, that'll be terrible if Tank doesn't take that fight with Kambosas. If he has the opportunity to fight Kambosas and doesn't take that fight against Kambosas, they're not searching for no type of legacy. They're not searching for no legacy. They don't even want to hear about legacy. But Kambosas is a network free agent. So that fight with PBC, he could definitely sign a fight deal with PBC to get to fight Tank Davis. But another problem is, I believe Mark Nash asked me this. Shout out to Mark Nash. He said, should Kambosas really petition to like fight in Australia, or should he fight in the US? And you know, if I'm Kambosas, I'm fighting in Australia, bro. Ain't none of that shit. If you don't want the fight, then step the fuck aside. You know what I'm saying? Because Australia has money. You know, it's not like it doesn't have money, and that's another way to market Gervonta Tank Davis. And I'm sure they're looking at that. They're like, man, you know, we're gonna make a money. We're gonna make hella money if we have this 80,000 packed stadium. Gervonta Davis versus George Kambosas, the hometown guy, versus a big hitter. I'm talking about, this could be a great fight. It's gonna be monumental if it was to happen. Maybe Tank is the opposition that George Kambosas is looking at. Maybe it is, and maybe that's gonna be the fight. I wouldn't doubt it. Maybe it's Devin Haney, but it looks like it might be Gervonta Tank Davis. Yo, and crazy thing is, now, okay, the WBA mandates the fight, but if Devin Haney could get in a fight or set up some contractual shit with them, could that probably negate the mandate, or could that stop the mandate, or could that fight be mandated after whoever wins from George Kambosas and Devin Haney? So it's like things that still could play out, and things could still play out, you know. So we'll just have to wait and see what goes on. It's gonna be whoever it is. It's gonna be a good fight. You know what I'm saying? For undisputed at 135, I mean, it's gonna be a good fight. Doesn't matter who it is. If it's Devin Haney, if it's Gervonta Tank Davis, if it's Ryan Garcia, whatever, it's gonna be a good fight. It's just gonna be different situations. You know what I'm saying? Like Ryan Garcia, he really doesn't deserve the fight, but it's still gonna be a good fight. Gervonta Tank Davis, I mean, he wasn't never looking for legacy, but now he's looking for legacy. It's still gonna be a good fight because now he can create that legacy. And Devin Haney, the guy that holds the regular belt, who has fought pretty decent competition in his last two fights, you know, that could definitely deserve that shot. That definitely deserves that shot. You know what I'm saying? So any fighter that he fights is gonna be good competition, very respectable competition. At least it's going to be a 50-50 fight, and we'll just have to see what goes on. You know what I'm saying? Now, if he goes off and he fights, I don't know, somebody that's like top 15 or something like that as a tune-up, maybe. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You know, maybe a tune-up in Australia and come back to the U.S. and fight a big fight in the U.S. I mean, I guess, but I'm sure he's not going to want to do that. I'm sure he wants to give his people a great fight and show them, you know what I'm saying, who George Kambosas is in Australia, and somewhere where they could definitely sell that fight out, you know. But it's gonna be exciting, man. It's gonna be exciting. It's nothing to worry about. Or you still got Lomachenko in there, you know. Even though Bob Arum is very cheap and he might not, but he might because it's Loma. and he can see the big bucks in Australia. See, Bob Arum is not stupid, so he's probably gonna set his feelings aside for whatever the hell is going on, and he'll probably be like, "Oh, it's Loma, that's our guy." You know what I'm saying? That's really the guy that we really wanted. We could spend that money, go to Australia. Shit, I turned 90 years old today. Happy birthday to me. And let's go out to Australia and take those belts from George Kambosas with Lomachenko. Very possible. Very possible. Very, 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 very possible. But man, like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you want to be notified. Y'all can follow me on Instagram at Pound for Pound Boxing Real News. Stay dangerous. Tell your auntie, tell your mama, tell your grandmama, your sister cousin, everybody to follow Pound for Pound Boxing Real News, man. We trying to grow this channel. We over 1K, we at 1.3 or something like that. Appreciate everybody that came through. Johnny Blaze, Brown Gone 1. I appreciate y'all coming through, man. Anybody that watched, appreciate that. Yeah, man, and we out. Peace.